Hello, all. My name is Maggie Cave. I work at Lutheran Services in Iowa, or LSI, in their Refugee and Immigrant Community Services. I'm just going to take some time today to talk a little bit about some new opportunities for business owners in Iowa. A lot of people are interested in the new CEO loans that are available that are through our Community Navigator pilot program. So I'm going to take some time today to talk a little bit about the background of those loans, who's eligible, and that process for applying. So again, just to start off, we're going to go over a little bit more about the lender and the program. We're going to talk about the loan packages and some of the benefits of applying for those loans, looking at who's eligible, the requirements for those loans, as well as the process. And the last steps is how you get connected. So stick with me. I think we'll answer a lot of your questions going through, and we'll get everyone onto a great road for their business. So just to get started, so I don't waste anyone's time, who is eligible for this Community Navigator pilot program and for those CEO loans? Primarily those who are eligible are minority business owners and entrepreneurs. Now, looking at that, those are not the only people who are eligible, so stick with me on that one. Business owners and entrepreneurs with a plan to start, grow, or strengthen a business, and owners who are struggling to secure capital in the past. So if you've been turned down for business loans in the past for a variety of reasons, this would be a really great program to enroll in. So people who are not eligible, businesses that are getting most of their revenue from alcohol, tobacco, or firearms, any involvement in adult entertainment, direct sales for multi-level marketing companies, and businesses that don't have a clear plan to grow, start, or improve. And we're going to go more in detail about some of those with that. But just wanted to save some people some time if that really doesn't sound like this would be the right fit. Additionally, and our team is only able to help businesses in Iowa. So the Community Navigator pilot program and CEO loans are offered in a lot of different states. But our team specifically is only able to help with those in Iowa or within about 50 miles of Iowa. For those outside of that kind of radius in that area, I'm going to go ahead and direct you immediately to the Center for Economic Opportunity at ircceo.org. Again, that is irc-ceo.org. You can go there, get a little bit more information, and connect with someone who can support your business outside of Iowa. All right, moving on. So the Community Navigator program is a new program funded through the SBA to help support minority business owners specifically who are not getting the support that they needed to really thrive from traditional business support providers. We're working in conjunction with a lot of existing partners such as SCORE or SBDC or women's business centers. All sorts of people who are already providing really good advice, just helping to make it more accessible and do some more outreach on part of those programs. So part of the reasons behind why this program was started is that the business sector wasn't moving as fast as the businesses were innovating and growing. The New American Economy estimated that 21.7% of all small business owners were immigrants and refugees. Yet almost no business service providers in the United States were providing language support or culturally appropriate services to business owners. Most of them, just had a great lack of connections to minority communities. So the point behind the Community Navigator pilot program was to place navigators in organizations with strong connections with communities that are socially or economically disadvantaged. So the Community Navigator pilot program has similar models in different areas of the country targeting different populations. So if you've ever worked with Vet Biz or a women's business center, it's the same model. This one was just designed specifically with refugee and immigrant business owners in mind. So what do we offer through this? Most of it is going to be those additional business services. So just a little bit of extra support, more one-on-one counseling, trainings, and mentoring that are going to be more specific to refugee and immigrant business owners, or to any other minority business owner that's really struggled to find a good fit with traditional business support providers. We also provide a lot of funding navigation. So we keep up to date. Our whole role is to keep up to date on all sorts of different private and public grants that come available and helping to spread that information to communities that are not necessarily getting that first face-to-face interaction with those providers. So private grants would be those offered through privately owned companies. A lot of times there's big ones, national ones, like Verizon, Comcast have just had one. Even Showtime has a really big one out right now. So a lot of those get released and we can help spread the word about those. Public grants are those going to be those offered through the government, either state, federal, or local. We also like to keep track on those and help our clients apply and get accepted to those. Lastly, we help with loan applications, and we'll go into those CEO loans that we're offering specifically. But no matter what loan you're looking at, there is a navigator that can help support you in that journey. Lastly, we help provide language access, and we also look at those personal finance piece. So some business services might not touch those personal finances. We see it as more holistic. So we're working on helping provide full wraparound support for business owners. All right, this is a fairly new program. It was established in 2021, really started December 2021. So brand new here in Iowa specifically. The umbrella that we're under for this program is under International Rescue Committee, which was the only awardee to focus on immigrant business owners. Right now, it is operating in Arizona, California, Georgia, Kansas, Utah, and of course here in Iowa. For those in Iowa, you do not have to go necessarily through me or through LSI. We have navigators and partners at Drake University, Iowa Center for Economic Success, Immigrant Entrepreneur Summit, Iowa's West Coast Initiative, and Siouxland Economic Development Corporation. So just to give you a little background on the lender, LSI is not the lender. IRC would be the lender, and through their CDFI, which is Center for Economic Opportunity. And I'm going to go over a little bit of that process, that kind of structure, because I know it's not the clearest. But just to start, International Rescue Committee, IRC, is a leader in refugee and immigrant services internationally. So they do a lot of support for disaster relief, for taking care of stateless or people who had to flee their homes at any time for different situations all over the world. In the United States, they've been operating for about 50 years, providing services mostly to refugees and immigrants to help them integrate into the US and to give them the same opportunities that natural-born citizens would have. Specifically, they were building up a lot of business and personal financial literacy, so both in the US and internationally, which kind of led them to start building in and apply for this Community Navigator pilot program. So again, they built a CDFI. So CDFI stands for Community Development Financial Institution. It's different than a different financial institution only in that they are required to spend a certain amount of energy and resources into supporting the communities that they are in. So rather than focusing necessarily on a geographic area, this CDFI is focused on a population, specifically refugee and immigrants, but the reach is kind of built out a little bit. So the main mission is to support credit invisible or credit thin individuals. So those are people who maybe don't have a credit score, don't have any active credit, or whose credit is just kind of not great because of a myriad of reasons. And their also main goal is to increase fair and equitable access to financial services. Particularly, they see that there's a lot of power in combining small dollar amounts with kind of that education piece, skill building, helping people learn how to manage finances effectively, and also making it accessible to different communities. So through all of that expertise and background, they're able to offer these business loans that we're going to talk about next. So how are these loans a little different? So start off, they're immigrant friendly. So people who maybe don't have a social security number, but instead have an ITIN number, these loans are going to be a great option. There is no minimum credit score. There's a lot of factors that affect credit score that they're a lot more friendly to than some traditional lenders would be. No hidden fees, they're very upfront. There are no prepayment penalties and max 2% closing fees on any loan. All right, so loans can go up to 50,000. Interest rates that vary up to 7.75, and that is as of today, which is coming up at the end of July 2022. Right now, they are offering 0% interest rate loans up to $10,000 until the end of August, so the 31st. And after that, those loans will change just slightly, offering 0% up to $10,000 for those planning to repay between 6 and 18 months. For those looking for a longer term, that's just going to go up to 2.99%. Those are still really competitive rates. Very difficult for new businesses or startup businesses to get rates that good. So it's still like we're still very excited about those. All right, what can these funds be used for? So there's really not a ton of restrictions on how you can use those funds. The most important part is that you have a plan and you can show us that plan. And there's a lot of ways to do that. So we'll go into that a little bit later. But these funds can be used for equipment, machinery, vehicles, inventory, raw supplies, working capital, marketing is a big one, developing a website, software, pivoting. Maybe you need more legal or professional fees or different licensing. They're even able to refinance some existing debt, although they would like to see that as kind of a combination of factors, not the only factor that you're applying for. So who is eligible? We talked a little bit at the beginning, but here are some other requirements. So first off is participation in business technical assistance, and we're going to go into that a little bit more after this. Participation in credit education. Anyone who applies for a loan must have an email address. They must have a U.S. transactional bank account. They must have a startup or existing business. They either have to have a social security number or an ITIN number. And again, there's no minimum credit score and no strict collateral. Again, who's not eligible? Sale of alcohol and tobacco as a primary source of income, adult entertainment, firearms, direct sales, or multi-level marketing, investments in stocks or bonds. Lastly, any business that does not have a clear use of funds or how those funds will impact the business. Again, we're going to go over that, and that's a big part of that business technical assistance that we provide. Big question I get. So there's no minimum credit score. Does that mean my credit doesn't matter? No, your credit still matters. The point of having no minimum credit score is to be flexible to a wide range of circumstances. We're coming out of COVID. We know businesses were hit hard. Individuals were hit hard. A lot of factors that were not something you could plan for came up, and that affected your credit score. There's a lot of other reasons people might not have a great credit score historically or kind of currently. And what they're saying is this gives us a little bit more room to be flexible with that. So credit still matters, but what they're looking for is that last 6 months without a late payment or any active collections. There are some exceptions allowed specifically for medical debt. And they're looking at having 2 to 3 months of banking history with no overdraft fees. So again, they want to be able to see that you are able to manage the funds that you have in hand, because you will have to do a loan repayment. And so that's going to be an extra step. Now, there are flexibility. There is ways to explain some of that. So don't let that necessarily become a barrier, but as something we can work on in the future. All right, so business TA or business technical assistance requirement. These loans are only available to people who are participating in our Community Navigator pilot program. And all that means is that you're enrolling with a Navigator and you're getting business technical assistance sessions with them. Now, our navigators are specifically with this program, but we work really closely with providers at SCORE, SBA, SBDC, and a few other business development programs across the state. So we're not looking to repeat that. We're not going to waste your time, but you do have to meet with a navigator and kind of work through or explain yourself a little bit for your plan for your funds. And really, we're here to support you. So we're going to just be looking at maybe the work that you've already done, adding things here and there, or we're just moving on straight through the application. Credit counseling. Again, the main focus for Center for Economic Opportunity is to put people in their businesses in a better financial situation that they were. And so part of that is going to be that credit counseling piece. We want to make sure that this loan is going to be helpful, not hurtful. So we do a lot of one-on-one counseling or even classroom counseling just to make sure that everything's good. Now, for a lot of people, if this isn't quite necessary, you don't need a lot of credit advocacy. Your credit's pretty good. You know how to check it, all of that. These sessions could be something like 5 to 10 minutes where we just go over those. If there's a little bit more in your credit history, again, it's not trying to penalize you. We just take a look at that a little bit further and make sure that you're building the skills and you have the systems and support you need to really move towards a good place with your credit. All right, let's talk a little bit more about the process. So if you're interested in the loan, we start with this first part, which is receiving business technical assistance. And you and your navigator kind of decide if this is the right loan for you. Again, there are a lot of different factors, and we want to make sure you end up with what is appropriate for your business and for your situation. Once we've decided that as a team, we send in what's called a pre-screen form. It's just a short questionnaire, and we're going to go over that some more. The CEO team, the Center Economic Opportunity team, reviews that pre-screen and emails us back to let us know kind of where we stand with that application. And that's our first step. They give us a lot of good advice on that and where to work on from there. If they decide that your application is going to be eligible or is going to be acceptable, we go ahead and start that loan workbook, and we start all the background on that. Lastly, the CEO team reviews the application, and if it's approved, they send that approval notification. And after receiving any additional information, they send you DocuSign packet. We get that all signed and submitted, and you distribute the fund. They distribute the funds into your bank account. So pretty quick, simple process when it's broken down like that, but we'll go a little bit more in depth to those. So kind of that first start, looking at that pre-screen process. So pretty short, about 30 questions that are all really short and things you probably have on hand or know in your head. But the goal is just to give you a quick yes or no. They don't want to waste your time. And it also gives them an opportunity to tell us what is going to make your application as strong as possible. They also give you a lot of transparency on what their thought process is and why they would say yes or no. So looking at that pre-screen, they look at demographic information. That has no effect on your loan decision. That's just information for them to use on their reporting. They look a little bit on their credit history. This is where you get that flexibility. So if your credit score is low, you have collections or active collections, anything that's been affecting your credit that's been a barrier in the past, this is a great place to explain that and to go into some more detail. They look at your household income and expenses because the supporting income has a positive impact on your loan. So you're able to kind of use your resources wisely here. And so if you're living with other household members who have stable income, or your living expenses are generally low, that's a place where that factors in. We also ask a little bit about your business overview. That's going to be 2 to 3 paragraphs of questions about just your business and your plan for moving forward, that use of funds, and whether or not you're going to be providing a down payment. Once we send them in, it takes them about a week to review. They come back and tell us a little bit more about what their thoughts are. Green light means yes, they have a really good chance of getting what you asked for. Yellow means there's a lot of work to go into this. Red means probably not. We probably shouldn't submit an application. With that, also, even if we get a no, what they're going to go through is talk a little bit about your strengths as an applicant, what risks they're seeing, and how we can strengthen their application or strengthen future applications, even if this one isn't the right one. So a lot of times, none of these are required across the board, but for this amount, maybe this amount was a little higher. They're looking at asking for marketing plan and target customers, a little bit more information about location and business hours. So that might not be required across the board, but they're able to be a lot more flexible this way. All right, green light, let's go. So you get a green light. What are we doing next? There's a loan workbook that we work through together, or you can work through independently, that provides all that personal information, all that background information, talking about your business. Rather than doing a business plan, you have some options there to do a little bit shorter. Business budget, so either an operating budget, profit and loss statements, or a startup budget, and cash flow projections for anything over 20,000, although cash flow projections are helpful for all loan applications. And helping get those personal documents together. So 2 months of pay stubs or sales revenue, proof of income, any of that, looking at 2 months of bank statements, doing a family budget, and doing some tax returns if they're available. And what if you don't have those things? Don't worry, that's why we're here. We're here to support you through that process. We don't complete those items for you. We are not accountants. We do provide classes and trainings, resources and templates on how to do that, and a lot of one-on-one support as you're going through. And we're here to review everything as it goes through. So what happens if you get an orange or a red light? We have a few things we can do there. We can revise your asking amount, maybe start at a lower amount and go from there. Maybe there's just some clarification needing for those pre-screen questions. Or we might do some more work showing how you think your business is going to be successful with this loan. That might look like doing a market analysis. It might look like doing a competitors analysis, any of those sort of things. If you didn't do a cash flow projection before, we might do that and submit that in as well. Or your navigator is here for you to help you look through different options. So after that, does everyone who applies get their loan? No. Most of the time their goal is to pass everyone who gets that stage of application. However, sometimes there are hiccups. Usually that is because people might claim a higher income on their pre-screen form than what they are able to prove later on. Maybe they're asking for more loan than what their income and their business can realistically handle, or they're not really able to show what impact those funds are going to have on their business. All of those things are things that we can review and resubmit as well. So one note, usually with the process, they're not going to say no and not talk to you again. Usually they come back with us, tell us what would be helpful, what's missing, and we can submit additional documents. All right, so next question I get a lot is, how fast is this process? Here's the thing, loans take time. Even these loans that are friendly and kind of low barrier, they take time. And it really depends on what you already have ready and what you are already ready to submit. So that pre-screen approval, if we submit it, it usually takes about a week to 2 weeks for them to respond back with those suggestions. If there are no extra documents that they need, we go ahead and submit that loan workbook same day. It takes them about a week or two to then review that as well. Usually the biggest delays are that there's missing documentation, the business budget isn't very complete, or people aren't able to show their income. All of that's going to slow down the process a little bit. If you're applying for anything over 20,000, you're going to add in just an extra 2 weeks in there for an external loan review. So if you're on top of things and you're got all your financial documents together, you're looking at needing about a month to a month and a half to get approved. If you're looking for extra support, no problem whatsoever. We are here to support you every step of the way, but it's not going to take only a month to get that through. All right, so last question, is this loan right for you? So again, do you have a plan for your business? Do you know what you want to use those funds for? And is your business ready to grow? Meaning, is the inventory you already have moving? Do you have that plan ready to go? Are you managing your expenses and income where you're at now. So, I mean, this is self-review. You're the expert in your life. You get to decide that for yourself, but your navigator is going to be there to help you make some of those decisions. So if you are ready, you think this is the right step, the first thing I would really like most everyone to do is go ahead and send me an email with your name, description of your business, and what kind of language support you might need to help apply for the loan. That might look like language assistance, help with a business plan, help preparing those financial documents, or just kind of doing startup assistance. Maybe you haven't started before. All of this information just helps us to get you with the right navigator, meaning getting someone whose skills matches your needs. If you are not really email friendly or you need language help or a client of yours needs language help, no problem. Go ahead and send a text to 515-422-663 with your name and language that you needed. We'll give you a call back with an interpreter. All right, you want to go even faster? That's great. Again, send me an email, your name, your description of your business, how much you're hoping to use for those funds, and the timeline that you're looking at. That will give us a quick kind of estimate of how much I can help you, or if this is going to be not the timeline that you're looking for. And don't need to send this to me, but do have ready kind of that business plan. There's nothing that's really required format-wise. You don't need 30 pages or anything, but have at least a page or so of a business plan ready to go, an operating budget or profit and loss, and if not required, but especially if you're going for those larger loans, looking at those cash flow projections. Well, that's about all the background on those CEO loans I can give you as a group. For individual questions, go ahead and send those to my email. A lot of times we're going to have to go through and do that pre-screen first to get a complete answer on specific situations, but it's not going to affect your credit to do that. Yeah, so I'm excited to work with you all and see how our businesses can grow here in Iowa. Have a good rest of your day.